Hello and good morning and welcome to another business breakfast chat show from the award-winning Chatbox Productions. Beautiful Thursday morning here in the UK, 8 a.m. going global around on YouTube, LinkedIn and Facebook. Hello everybody and hello David.
Good morning, Nick, and good morning, everybody. Yeah, welcome to another Chatbox Productions. We are live here from our virtual studios, broadcasting, as Nick said, globally. And we have a global audience tuning in, and we have a global guest this morning coming all down south from South Africa. So we'll be getting our guest into the studio in about 9 minutes' time and finding out more about her journey, the successes, the ups and the downs. And I'm sure we're going to take away lots of great value this morning from our guests who will be joining us. But sun is shining here in sunny Essex. We want to know what the weather's like where you are, but we want to know, more importantly, what you're up to today. What has the week been like business? We're going to talk business throughout the show. We're going to be talking about a business expo we went to yesterday as well. And how, well, you know, my first time out in the last nearly 2 years, meeting and greeting, handshaking again. And I didn't get quite close enough for cuddles and kisses, but, you know, it was great to be in the vicinity of other like-minded people. So, yeah, going to be a great show. Lots of stuff coming to you over the next hour.
Amazing. The year's flying by, right? Every show, I think, all right, what's the date today? And then it just progress as time does. Absolutely flying by, right? And you think, well, hold on a second. The year's almost over. Right, and we've only just really got started. I feel as though, you know, in middle of September, I feel as though it's far too early still in the year. Obviously, because of lockdowns and everything else, the business is only just kind of the wheels are starting to turn again. And the trade show yesterday was a lovely example of what business used to look like and what hopefully it will look like again. Nice. A lot of people were saying, isn't it lovely to be out? And yeah, it really was. Yeah,
that was the words I heard. You know, lots yesterday. Where kind of walking around, meeting lots of people, having some fantastic conversations. It was, isn't it great to be back out and looking at people and seeing people and having that conversation without a camera and a screen in front of you. As much as I love tech, as most of you know, tech I think is a great thing in business. It's enabled us to carry on communicating when we've been locked inside behind our own windows and doors. But there is a balance, and you know, I think it's important we do start to get back out there and have those face-to-face, meaningful conversations. You know, start to see people's body language, and you know, it's quite interesting to see how people have changed in 2 years. I know I have. I've gone grayer, put a little bit of weight on, you know, from the lockdown and stuff like that. But everyone's kind of developed and changed, you know, in different ways. But yeah, it's been great. Anyway, good morning to Lee Strachan. Greetings. Good morning, Donna Franklin. Yes, good morning. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in this morning. If you've got a shout out, pop it into the chat boxes. We will give you a shout out. We will say hello to you. If there's something you want us to share, then let us know and we will share that on the screen. Of course, if you do want to join us on the show, like our guest coming up very shortly, then you can do that. You can do it a number of different ways. You can just pop us an email. That's one way. Email us at hello@chatboxproductions.com.
Hello.
You can go to the website, www.chatboxproductions.com, and go to join the show. Pop in a few details. Let us know what you want to come on and talk about. And if it's exciting enough and we feel it's a great fit for the show, then we'll invite you on. And you can share with the world what it is you do, or your knowledge or experience. And if you just want that shout out, put it in there. You know, we welcome the conversation, even when our guest is on here. Maybe you have some questions for our guest this morning as well. So pop that in there and we'll see if we can get those answered for you.
Absolutely. Come on the show. Join the fun. Join the conversations. And if you've got anything to say, pop it in the chat box and join that lovely conversation. For example, right, have you been out and about? Okay, it's now time, jump in the car, bit of commuting, gonna go and see some customers, and you've been stuck on the M25. Last week, mate, Friday, I went down to Eastbourne, lovely workshop with one of my favorite clients. Okay, on the way back, Insulate Britain were doing their thing on the M25. Absolute mayhem, right? If you could go off someone, it would be this. right? I'm losing. I see where they're coming from, and I get it. That insulate social housing, get it done, fulfill your pledges, but I'm losing my kind of patience. I'm in a queue with everybody else. It was carnage, man. The M25 was closed, right? And there was only so many back roads in Kent that you can use. Absolute bloody carnage it was. But best of luck with the cause, but please don't block the M25.
Yeah, so
Man,
if you're
trying to get some work done here.
You're watching this and you was part of that blockage on the M25, you were sitting there super glued to the tarmac or chained to the barricades or something like that. Please don't. You're just mucking up everyone else's life and you're putting people off in different directions. We get the calls, but find a different way to protest.
Or come on the show. Come on the show. Give us your point of view.
Yeah.
Tell me to shut up. Say you've just sat in traffic, Nick, but the problems are bigger than that. But yeah, that was me getting back into it.
Anyway, enough of the ranting, Nick. We like a good rant, and of course, if you want to rant, come on the show and let's air your rants. But what's been happening? We've been out there. We're going to talk more about the expo later on. We've got some guests joining us, and they're going to be sharing their experiences of being back in the big wide world. But what's been happening in the world, Nick? What world is it today?
Oh, well, we can talk about which fabulous day it is, but big wins, big losses, right? Energy prices, gas prices going right up, energy companies failing left, right and centre. About 5% of the market currently being transferred to another supplier, right? A lot of uncertainty out there, but big wins, local. Guess who won Museum of the Year? It's only First Sight in Colchester. Thank you very much. Visit Essex for this beautiful picture of an amazing museum and arts gallery. Oh man, what a place! Have you been?
I have, yeah. I actually went there and did a talk it's about 4 or 5 years ago now. So when we were allowed out, and I did a talk and a presentation there. It is an amazing place, very different, very kind of modern and contemporary and very open. Really, really nice place. But well done to First Sight in Colchester, Essex. Quite close to both Nick and I, so we know of the location pretty well. And if you're from Essex, be proud of it. And there's lots of other great museums around the world, of course, but isn't it brilliant that something on our doorstep, Nick, wins? Brilliant.
Great success. If you've got anything to do with First Sight, by all means, put messages in the chat. Come on the show, tell us how cool that is. They do a nice cup of coffee and a bit of cake as well. But I don't know if that was in the criteria for awards. We should know, mate, because we're an award-winning show.
Have we mentioned that before?
It's lovely.
Have we been in the Novo Awards and we're an award-winning?
Yeah.
Have we ever got this in before? Yes, we are. Anyway, we won't keep plugging that, but we will just get it in every now and then. Yes, we're an award-winning chat show, award-winning hosts, and what a privilege it is to be honoured, actually, to have such an award for such a young business as well, Nick. This is quite new, and we're still cutting our teeth on doing these live shows each week as well. We're getting better every week. We keep getting told, actually, David, Nick, you're pretty good. You're the Ant and Dec of business. Thank you very much for keep telling us that. We're not quite sure who's Ant and who's Dec. Let us know who should be Ant and who should be Dec.
That's starting to stick, mate. People are emailing now and saying to the Ant and Dec of the business world. Yeah, we should get Ant and Dec on the show, right? And we'll compare, right? Who's most like who, right? and see who's more popular. Right, Ant and Dec or Dave and Nick. We'll see.
Nick, before we bring our guest on, what is World Day today? Do you have those?
A choice of, I've picked a choice of 3. It's Education Technology Day.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, celebrating all the tech, ed tech as they call it, or edutech, that is transforming the classroom. Okay, massive changes in education, technology driving a massive digital world. Why wouldn't it? A few concerns from analog Nick, right? In as much as if we don't also remember the human stuff, okay, we lose ourselves in technology, which tends to lack empathy, right? But a lot of cool tech in education, and the kids love it, right? Why wouldn't they? It's also International Day of Signed Languages, right? Excellent. Didn't know. right? Two things about sign languages, right? There's in excess of 72 million deaf people around the world. And between them, they speak 300 different sign languages. 300. I didn't know there was that many. There's even an international sign language that people use for business meetings and international travel. I would love, a challenge of mine, a personal challenge of mine, I would love to be able to do one of my talks on stage, signing it as well as saying it. So if you are a local to Essex sign language teacher and you're listening right now, please get in touch. I want to learn how to sign at least one of my talks. I know very, very little about sign language and I'm ashamed of it. I want to be able to communicate better.
There is a challenge. So if you can help Nick to sign one of his next presentations, then get in touch. And I'm going to put it out there that you don't have to be local, Nick. I'm sure they can do it through the likes of Zoom and Teams in this digital age. Talking about tech and education, let's see if we can educate Nick through the screen to sign language. So great, reach out, let us know if you can help Nick on his duty. I'm going to put this as an international sign language when he's delivering his talk. I know a few sign language. Can I have this one? The bill, please. There's a few, thank you. There's a few I know. I'm not really up on sign language. I'd like to learn as well. I think learning is a great, great thing. And that's where we're going to go now. We're going to learn something new. We're going to find out more about someone else and their journey and what they've been up to and how they've built their business and become a huge success. But before we do that, we're going to have a very quick ad break, and then we'll come back and introduce our guest. Welcome back. This is the early morning business breakfast show with David and Nick. And yes, it's all about chat at Chatbox Productions. Please welcome our first guest this morning, sitting patiently in the green room. Welcome to the stage, our virtual one, of course, Ingrid Osborne. Good morning, Ingrid, and welcome.
Thanks, guys. Nice to be here.
Now, I recognise that accent. That's South Africa, place I've visited and been a number of times over the years. Haven't been for at least 2.5 years due to, well, the reasons we all know. But tell us a little bit more, Ingrid, whereabouts in South Africa you're from. We'll come on to the business, but what is it that you do?
So I'm currently sitting in Ballito, which is in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. Nice warm weather generally year-round. And I'm an electronic engineer by trade and CEO of Saryx Engineering Group. Actually, what a lot of people don't know is that my business partner and friend, Julie Matheson, who's based in Richards Bay, just further up north from where we are currently. We've been in business for almost 20 years. Started out as friends, grew into business partners, and have never looked back since. So I think as an engineer, and she's a computer scientist, we've been able to form a business and kind of merge those two skills without stepping on toes, which I think has been a very healthy partnership. So that's where we are at the moment. And
you're an award-winning electronic engineer. I love an award winner on the show.
Of course we're award-winning. So I think most notably, probably for us, I mean, we've won numerous awards, but I think the most exciting was the F&B Business Award, which we won with Endeavour. There are probably about 600 business entries, and they really had to be, kind of specific and fill a certain kind of criteria, and they whittle those down to finalize. And it is like going through an interrogation process, interviewed by business leaders across South Africa. It's incredibly daunting, and we were finally one of 9 finalists from a group of 600, and that was really exciting to win that. F&B was just truly amazing as a business partner. Endeavour is such a wonderful organization. I don't know if you know much about Endeavour, helping entrepreneurs across the country. You definitely need to look them up and maybe get them on the show. And they are interested is scaling, is scale ups, actually getting businesses to just double, triple their size. And they offer just such a huge range of expertise, that you can actually call on. And that led to a really exciting adventure. F&B sponsored us to go to Argentina to the Global Endeavor event. And there we were recognized as, and it doesn't happen often. It is also another grueling process. And there we were recognized as global entrepreneurs, which was very exciting. So yes, a few Best Woman-Owned Business of the Year awards, professional awards, which is great.
So you know what you're talking about, Ingrid, right? Clearly, and you're publicised in multiple places, aren't you? What exactly do you talk about? Right? Loads of publications want to hear from Ingrid. What's your message?
So I think various topics. I think we need to start back in the beginning. If we're going to talk about generally what we've done in terms of digitization, in the health and safety industry, we've got to go back and actually understand what that means. Because if you're not in the industry, it can be quite a sort of foreign subject. Like you could ask yourself, is that a real thing? So if you can imagine, we were an engineering company doing bespoke, automated software solutions for big industrial plants, automating equipment from PLC level up to SCADA level, MIS, MES. So you're on site with, equipment that's moving, 9,000 tons of coal per second. It's massive industry, right? Anything to do with factories or mines, open cast, it doesn't matter. It's an incredibly dangerous, situation to be in. And the way in which we generally, or typically, and this is not just South Africa, this is around the world, the way we manage our health and safety is with a big lever arch file. And that gets looked at the start of a project, and, your competencies and everything that's in there, your training, anything relating to business or job, competencies are in there. And you get that sign off at the beginning of a project, and it's very rarely looked at. Or if it is, it's an incredibly laborious process. If you imagine if you're doing 15 projects nationally across, in our case, South Africa or Southern Africa, you've got 15 different requirements that you need to sort of comply with, and it's very difficult to keep track of. And we actually ran into a bit of a problem. And to bring this into context, when you do run into a problem, we have a Section 54 that gets that completely shuts business down. And between 2012 and 2015, it cost this country 13.9 billion rand just on a shutdown. It didn't include the restarting of a mine or a plant. So it is massive. When things go wrong, they go badly wrong. And it went wrong for us. We had an expired letter of good standing from the Workmen's Compensation Commissioner. In those days, it took about 2 weeks to get, and we were sort of like put off site. Luckily, obviously, just on a non-compliance issue, not on an injury or anything like that. And we actually decided that we can't carry on like this. We need automatic reminders. We need to know exactly who's where, what is required, when we need to update, be able to plan medicals and vehicle services according to documentation that's expired. And so we started to develop, because we were all sitting at the office waiting for a new letter. We had the skill inside the business to actually develop a solution for ourselves. And I think once we started developing it, we knew that this every single company would need something like this. And what we tried to do is approach it from a point of view where it was open to everyone. So a company with 0 to 10 person, it was an affordable solution for them. They don't have massive infrastructure to monitor health and safety. They can't afford a dedicated person for a company so small. So we actually, structured it in a software as a service model that you could rent almost. And that just took off. There was clearly a gap in the market and a need, and we haven't looked back since. So our company has kind of merged from doing engineering solutions and in-house product development, which is very exciting for us.
It makes perfect sense. If I don't get a reminder from my insurance company, right, to say your insurance is due, or your MOT is due, or your car tax is due, in a busy world, you're going to forget these things. And
it gets worse. Imagine if you've got 100 vehicles and 500, employees that you're trying to manage in terms of their competencies. Who's got to go for a medical or an X-ray, depending on the requirements of that site, and then times that by 15 because you're working on various mines and sites, and it becomes an absolute logistical nightmare.
It sounds like it's crying out for a digital solution. Excellent. And you've travelled, right, Ingrid? You've travelled, right? We need to talk about Necker Island.
Oh yeah, yeah. I want to know. I need to know how
David wants to go, right? David wants to go. Right? He wants the inside track. How do we get David to Necker Island? What's that?
So I can't talk about that. We signed an NDA. No, I'm kidding. After our trip to Necker Island, it was very interesting. So a group of Endeavour companies organised this trip to Necker Island, and we were invited individually to attend. And I think the whole purpose of this was to have sort of like entrepreneurs sharing ideas, unpacking problems within the countries, and maybe taking those ideas and solutions and bringing them back home. So I think for me, it didn't fundamentally change me as a person, but I think what was the most amazing thing is, number one, Richard's just humility and just, openness in terms of, sharing thoughts, sharing his home. He just is unbelievable like that. And I think I was very surprised by that. But not only that, is he invited a number of his key people within his organization. So we had opportunities, to meet, people from Virgin Galactic and, Virgin Active, and for them to share their business ideas and what they're doing and what works and what doesn't. And that for me was just incredible. So yes, it was great fun. There definitely, stuff and business chat in the morning and obviously throughout the day, but there were plenty of activities and festivities in the evenings where we could all get to know each other, and we still, as a group, on a WhatsApp group together.
It sounds,
which is amazing.
It sounds very cool. For those not in the know, I should have said this at the beginning. Necker Island, Richard Branson's pad, right? His island. Okay, and it sounds like get together, swap business ideas in Necker Island. David and I went to Chelmsford Racecourse, so very similar to do similar work yesterday. So we got that vibe. Yeah. We know where you're coming from.
We do, absolutely. And just like what you would have experienced, Ingrid, there's great people there willing to share and communicate. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you've got great people around you, this amazing thing happens that, you come up with new ideas. And collaboration is so important in business. And we tend to talk a lot about success, but obviously failure leads to success. Things don't always go to plan. But I can imagine, I'm going to talk to you more, kind of off air about how I get to Necker Island, because what an experience. There was a pool incident, wasn't there? You, eating sushi and stuff?
Sushi off a surfboard in the pool. Unbelievable. I must actually send you a photograph of that. It's quite unreal.
Oh,
very decadent. So much fun.
Just the thought
I'll
of
put it in the chat group.
Absolutely jealous. Yeah, pop it into the chat afterwards. If you want to see Ingrid eating sushi from a surfboard, look at the comments in the chat after the show. She's going to pop up a picture in there for us all to get jealous of. So tell us a little bit
just
more.
Before we danced on the tables.
It just gets better. Why don't you want to go to Necker Island? Sushi, dancing on tables, communication, great conversation. It sounds brilliant. Obviously, building your business, developing it, building a great team around you. You've probably learned a lot of things along the way. You've made mistakes like we all do. Failures, as I say, tend to lead to success because you don't make that same mistake again. What could you share with our audience? Maybe a top tip that they can take away today and go, yeah, that's a really good point. Maybe I should be doing that or thinking about that.
So for me, I think it all comes down to, who you surround yourself with. We now have our management team probably sits around about 10 or 8, and it just so happens to be equally men and women. But every one of those people sitting in upper management, general management, has come from within the business. And I think that's really telling. For me, that's probably the most important thing, is to, if you can surround yourself, with people that you trust, and that, you've got the same vision or the same goal, I think you've already won, half the war. And I definitely, my biggest change, and I think I can speak for my business partner and co-founder, Julie, I think our biggest change was actually letting go and getting smarter people into the business to do the jobs that they're really good at. And don't be scared about replacing yourself, with smarter people. I think that once you've gathered that team around you, it's full tilt ahead, and it makes life so much easier. And I think that's the most important thing. If you're going to actually surround yourself, with people, make sure that they come from within the business, that they are trustworthy, and that they have a very similar goal to you. Same work ethics, same values, that they buy into what you're doing as a company.
Yeah, really important.
Makes perfect sense. Get the right people on the bus, as Jim Collins
Yes.
would say. Sound advice. And what's this health and safety compliance product that you have? This is big news, right? Big news in South Africa and beyond, no doubt.
Yes. So that's exactly the thing. That big leverage file, we threw that out the window and we automated that entire process. And I think it really took off once we started to sell enterprise licenses to corporates, and rolled it across, several mines, smelters, refineries, across Southern Africa. And what that required was that every single contractor coming on site would need to buy a license and then automatically share their health and safety information digitally across this transparent platform, so that there was engagement. I can see what you're looking at. I can see what your requirements are from site before I get to site. So this can all be handled in the back end, behind the scenes, before arriving to site. And then, of course, in terms of a digital relationship, we both get reminded about where we are in terms of compliance, what's missing, what's not missing. And it just eliminates human error. I mean, this is affordable, it's safe, it's flawless. You're not going to forget to check a document. You're not going to forget to renew a license. And I think it's really, when we are trying to get to zero harm in South Africa, we need to start with the basics first, and getting compliance and digitizing compliance and automating document management when it comes to such a critical, dangerous environment. That's where you start. People talk about automation and engineering. You've got to go back to the beginning, because the very system that's monitoring you needs to be, automated. And so that's where age second line comes in. And it's incredible. We use it ourselves in the engineering side of our business. So we, it works. We've actually proven
zero harm. That's got to be the goal, right? Zero harm. Start with the basics, all the way through to ultimately zero harm. Fantastic stuff.
And there's also an organization called 1% Safer. So if you just aim to make it 1% safer, the amount of people that you're saving, that you send home every day after work, is just, it's massive.
And one thing I wanted before you go, I know time's sometimes always against us, right? You've recently kind of made the shift from Johannesburg out of the city, right? And the pandemic is probably having the same effect on many cities around the globe, seeing a massive shift. The city no longer the place to be. In the UK, people have moved to the countryside. They want space. They want a bit of greenery. They don't necessarily need to be or want to be in cities anymore. And the same thing going on in South Africa.
Absolutely. We're seeing a huge migration, I think, from Johannesburg, away from big cities, which is such a shame. Stepping into Johannesburg off the plane and going to a meeting is really like, stepping into like a New York vibe, and I really, really do miss it. And I think we're going to have to be really smart in terms of what we do with these cities, and how we use them going forwards, because we cannot let them stand empty. And I think that we will find a use for it. We just need to be smart. So yes, I think there is, a huge migration to coastal towns and cities. and probably good for those coastal towns and cities in terms of, sort of construction and that kind of thing. But I'm still, and probably with you guys too in London, still trying to see what's going to happen with those office spaces and businesses, what we're going to do with them.
I don't think we know yet. No.
Yeah, I think that there are a lot of uses for them. I think there are people crying out for real homes, and if we can be smart about how we use them, I think we can put them to good use before they get run down and derelict.
Yeah, and if they don't get used, they will get abused. So it's absolutely worth making sure that they're used. We've got big issues here on the high streets where we're losing shops here, there, and everywhere. For businesses, closing up their doors, stop trading. Companies that have been around for many, many years, and the high street is becoming a very sad and lonely place, even though it's still quite bustling and busy at times. But we've got these empty shops and storefronts and stuff like that. No idea what's going to happen. Regeneration is required. Ingrid, it's been absolutely amazing to have you on here. If we had more time, we could talk probably for another half an hour about your journey, Necker Island in more detail. Really but we do run a late night show, and as I said last week, we'd love to get you back on the late night show and find out what happens behind closed doors, more so, or what happened on Necker Island. It'd be great to find out more about that. But thank you so much for joining us. Everybody, please thank Ingrid Osborne, from the CEO from Saryx Engineering Group. Ingrid, you can sit backstage, enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thanks so much, Nick and Dave. I can tell that you're an award-winning show.
Very kind.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ingrid. Goodbye. Well, Nick, what a great way to get the show going. I've got a few tips how to get to Necker Islands. I'm going to have a conversation with Ingrid in a bit more detail and find out a little bit more about, where I sign, what flights I get. Do I fly business, first class? What I need to put in the suitcase, or is it all supplied for me when I arrive?
You just need to flex your networking muscle, my friend, and just let them know, right? Award-winning presenter of Chatbox Productions. Donna's nailed this, right? Analog and digital deck. Look at this. She's absolutely got it going on.
Well done, Donna. For those that are probably going, what are we talking about? Nick and I are getting referred to the Ant and Deck in the business world. And we said, who's Ant and who's Deck? And it looks like Donna has nailed it. Analog ants and
digital deck. That was stick. Analog ant.
There's my new code name. Nick, we've got 3 more guests queuing up in the green room to talk about this. Let's set the scene a little bit here. We started at the beginning of the show saying we were out and about yesterday. We went to one of our first business expos. Well, it is my first business expo this side of the pandemic and COVID at the Chelmsford City Racecourse here in Essex, which is a big horse racing course. They put lots of special events on, organised by Networking Essex and Aaron Desmond and his team. And we went along as Chatbox Productions to kind of shout out, say, guys, come on the show, listen to what we've got to offer, come and tell us and the world what it is that you do. And it was a great expo. Had some fantastic chats with various people, rekindled some relationships. I hadn't seen people for 2 or, in some cases, even 3 years, and met loads of new lovely people as well. It was great. Really nice day out. Sun was shining. We did some live streams from the event, met some of the exhibitors and guests as we kind of wandered around. Really, really great day. But we've invited 3 of those guests to join us on the show this morning. Tell us a bit more about their business and how they found their day out as well. Networking Essex. There was lots of great exhibitors. I'm going to just pop one of the screenshots up here. Doesn't have all the exhibitors. It's just one of the slides that I managed to grab. But you will see that Chatbox is down here in the bottom corner. Woo! And we've got some of those people joining us now, but really, really great events. I say it was yesterday. Networking Essex If you want to find out more about them, I will pop the web address up on the screen as well if you want to maybe find out more about what they do. But let's get, what we'll do is we'll bring each one individually, and then I'm going to try and we'll get everybody on here as well so that we can all say hello together. But let's start by introducing our first guest this morning, Jeremy from the Federation of Small Businesses. Good morning, Jeremy, and welcome.
Very good morning, gentlemen. Nice to see you, although I did prefer to see you yesterday in the flesh rather than on the screen. It's got to be said.
It was, yeah. And Jeremy, it was the first time obviously I wear a hat for the Federation of Small Businesses, and you've been involved with them for many years, and I'll get you to just summarise who the FSB is in a minute. But we never met face-to-face until yesterday. We'd done lots of conference calls and seen each other through the camera, but wasn't it great to see each other and have a handshake?
It was, and just in your introduction there, I was thinking, what did I get most from the business show? And I'll tell you what it was, and you don't ever get this on Zoom. While I was walking through the exhibition hall, I saw Karen from Essex Wildlife, who I've probably not seen for 5 years, and I saw Mike from MCLS, who does all our digital office infrastructure. And I would have never have seen them in that environment because they just weren't on my radar. Karen at Essex Wildlife, because I haven't seen, as I say, her for 5 years, because that was in a previous role that I used to work alongside Karen. And it was just brilliant to see people in the flesh, as you'd said, David. And do you know what? We've all become a bit lazy on Zoom. I certainly have, because you can jump onto a Zoom call or a Teams call and you can do your meeting. But I tell you what you miss from my point of view. It's all the chat about how's the family, what have you been doing, what do you do outside of work? And it's all the human side of stuff, because on Zoom, I go straight into blah, 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 work, work, work. It's not that relationship building. And I actually think it's because we're in this little box, because you don't see body language, you don't see anything. And I tell you what, you also don't see people's shoes. My dad said to me when I was a teenager, he said, do you know what, son? Whatever you do, always wear clean shoes and the best shoes you can afford. I don't know the moral of the story. I'm just repeating what he told me. But you could do that in an exhibition, and everyone I saw yesterday had lovely shoes.
Yeah, and you know what? I suppose, you know, the way people dress, the way they come across, I could be sitting here doing this show just in my t-shirt. Here's a vision for everyone watching. Not wearing anything else, just the underpants.
Necker Island, you've got your Speedos on.
And I'm going to be really honest, I am wearing my slippers. I'm back in that slipper mode, sitting in my office here. But obviously when you're at the exhibition, you know, you're there to dress to impress, as I call it. You know, you dress obviously relevant for whatever it is you're marketing and advertising. So yeah, looking at someone's shoes gives away, you know, how do they present themselves? You know, do they polish their shoes? You know, or they're a trainer type guy, or they're, you know, a high heel type lady. You know, these are the things that you pick up at these expos. FSB, give us a little plug. Who are the FSB and what do they do?
Yeah, so FSB, Federation of Small Businesses, it's been around 47 years. It was started as a lobby group because the founders were running small businesses and said, hang on a minute, we haven't got a voice. Who's looking after us? There's no union, there's no collective voice, and we want to get heard. Why is it always pushed on us? Why is all this red tape pushed on us? At the time, it was class 4 national insurance contributions. And here we are 47 years later, it's still the same kind of thing. It's IR35, it's tax increases, national insurance increases on every tip of everybody's tongue, and not to mention energy increases. Who's lobbying about that? And it's the FSB, simple as that. 150,000 plus members across every single industry you could imagine. I've even got a member who runs a bug farm in Essex. They breed bugs for fishing industry. Who knew? But what the FSB do, as long as giving a collective voice to our members, is we give them a set of unique benefits. So we're talking about the non-fluffy stuff, I'm afraid, viewers and guys and girls watching. It's about things like tax investigation protection insurance, legal advice when you need it, HR advice, all insurance backed. So if you have a legal problem with a member of staff, we'll pay for you to go to tribunal. If you lose the tribunal, having taken our advice, we'll pay up to 100 grand. It's giving comfort to small businesses. We also have a little healthcare policy. We have access to banking, access to insurance products, and just generally support when you need it.
Really, really important thing here. I said, come on the show, tell us about your experience yesterday. And you said to me, there's a really great benefit if you're a Southend-based business. That's Southend on Sea. Tell us what that is, because this is a great opportunity. If you are a business and you're not a member of the FSB, it's a way to become a member, very, very low cost.
Absolutely. So Southend-on-Sea Borough Council have acknowledged that there's lots of smaller and medium businesses that have been exempt from some support. So I guess we're talking about people like the micro business with sometimes not business premises. But so what they've done is they've sponsored memberships to the tune of 80%. And in real terms, what that means is if you are a sole trader in Southend-on-Sea, you can join the federation for just £28 for a whole year, the balance being paid by Southend-on-Sea Borough Council. And that works from 0 to 9 employees. So even if you've got a medium-sized small business that's got employees and staff, as long as you've got less than 10, you can join, and the council will pay the lion's share. They'll pay 80%. So you get access to all of those benefits and more, because the local development officers there are going to be working with our brand new members that we're bringing on in a collaborative way. So we're going to be doing some networking events, some meet the buyer events, all sorts of things to get the most of your membership from Southend-on-Sea Borough Council. And it's a huge opportunity. Really easy to get access to this. In fact, if you don't mind, if I can plug the web address, it's businessonsea.co.uk. So businessonsea, all one word, .co.uk. And there's a big tab at the top, discounted FSB memberships for Southend businesses. And be quick, because it's a limited scheme, because there's limited funds gone into this for obvious reasons, and they are going really quickly.
There we go, businessonsea.co.uk. If you want to get access to a membership package, which is 80% funded by Southend Borough Council, or of course, reach out to Jeremy. You can get you on Jeremy on LinkedIn, I assume, if you just search Jeremy Reeve.
And I'll even show you my shoes.
What's not to like, right, about those numbers of offers? Massively discounted FSB, a no-brainer, really. Get to see Jeremy's shoes, see what his dad was talking about, see how cool.
What shoes would you wear, Nick? What shoes, Nick, would you wear on Necken Island? Would it be the flip-flop or would it be the slider?
No, the Havana hit flip-flop.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm going nowhere near Necker Island, mate. If we get a chance, David's the one we need to send. But I'll have a look at Ingrid's pictures, and I will see if it's the flip flop or the slider. I'm not sure.
Ingrid's put into the chat, by the way. People can't see this, but she's still here in the green room. She's put barefoot. Well, that makes sense, doesn't it? Of course.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. There we go. Jeremy, it's been great having you on here. I know we're going to get you back on a future episode to talk a little bit more about what else you get up to. We will get that arranged, and we look forward to getting you back on the show and having a more meaningful, longer conversation about what it is that you do. So, Jeremy, from the FSB, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thanks, Dave.
Have a great day, and we'll catch you soon.
Will do. Take care.
Yes. There we go, Nick. Right, let's bring on our next guest. We're going to rattle through these. We've got two more to welcome on. Let's bring on, been sitting there very patiently. I think we're going to go to, we'll go to Brett first. Brett Carver. Good morning, Brett. Welcome. Backhouse.
Morning, David. Morning, Nick. How you doing?
Morning. Now, we met yesterday at the business show. We were streaming live, actually, and I come and pounced on you. And Nick and I kind of put you probably in a bit of an awkward situation. But, hey, people perform great under pressure, and you told us a little bit more about what Backhouse Solicitors does. Can I ask you to kind of tell us what it is that Backhouse do?
Yeah, certainly. We're a multi-specialist law firm based in Chelmsford. We offer expert advice to companies and individuals across Essex, London, and the South East. So in terms of our services, for the individual, we offer family law expertise, employment law expertise, and debt recovery expertise. On the company side of things, again, we act for employers in employment matters. We act for large corporates on their commercial property deals. We act for large corporates on their debt recovery deals. We're sort of nearly a full service law firm, really. But we've grown very, very quickly. We only started in 2005. Minnow Backhouse was an employment specialist, and she started off in 2005 on her own, and has grown exponentially since then. We're now sort of over 30 employees with our large, lovely office in Chelmsford on Duke Street. And we offer for all customers a 30-minute free initial consultation. So, it's a no obligation thing. You can come along, have a chat with us, talk through your legal problem. And we're happy to help, and we're happy to offer that service.
I imagine it's a busy time, all right, from a business perspective. There's
Indeed.
a lot of businesses going through change right now. And one of the things they need is a bit of legal help. 30 minutes is probably a very, very useful 30 minutes from their perspective and from yours.
Indeed.
I imagine the phone's ringing a lot, Brett, with businesses saying, can I just ask a couple of questions?
It is. And at the moment, especially on the employment law side, because, of course, we've got so many issues going on in the workplace. There's flexible working, there's vaccinations, there's safeguarding. There's so much going on that employers need some guidance on. And employees, there's the furlough scheme will be coming to an end very shortly. There's, I think, from what we're seeing in the marketplace, there will be quite a glut of people looking for jobs at the end of the furlough scheme. It's very busy, and not only on the employment law side, but on the property side. The residential conveyancing side of things has been absolutely flying. With stamp duty sort of offer ending, we thought things might slow down a little bit, but in actual fact, the market is so buoyant. We're recruiting left, right, and centre. It's a great time, but also you can see from a personal perspective, it's been a worrying time for everyone.
How did you find yesterday's what we feel was a fantastic business expo? How did you find it? Did you have lots of conversations, bump into lots of new faces? Were people kind of, I say asking for advice, but kind of gleaming from the experts on the stand at the time? What about this? What about that? What are your opinions and thoughts?
Yeah, we had a number of really, really constructive conversations with people. I mean, the overriding thing that we all took from that event, I think, was that it was just so nice to get out and see people and actually talk face to face. This medium is great for a lot of things and good for business. But in terms of actually buying from people, you've got to sit in the same room and talk to them. And as we were saying before, body language is hugely important when you're in a meeting with somebody. And establishing a personal connection with your clients is something that I think that's been missed over the period of lockdown and coronavirus. So I know we had a number of really, really good conversations with new clients, but also some really nice catch-ups with some people we haven't seen for a long time from the local business community. My colleague Ben Backhouse has many, very well, David, many connections in the area, and I don't think Ben stopped all day. He was just constantly chatting to people that he knew and hadn't seen for a long while.
Ben's good at that, by the way, having good, meaningful conversations and a chat. And I believe he's at a breakfast meeting this morning as well.
Indeed, he is.
Yeah, indeed. I must apologise. I put your banner up and we spelt your name wrong, but I've changed it for you. Carver, not Carvel. So if you're watching, this is the official banner for Brett. Not often, by the way, I admit my mistakes, but I thought it was an important one to get your name right because you've done the duty of coming on here and talking to us. So finally, Brett, if people want to get in touch with Backhouse Solicitors, what's the best way? I do have your website. I can pop that up on the screen so everyone can see, backhouse-solicitors.co.uk.
Indeed it is. There's a live chat option on the website. You can call us and you can see the number behind us. Or you can pop into the office. We are open. We're open for business. We like seeing people, as I just said. And as I said, the half an hour free consultation is a great way of sitting down and just saying, right, okay, let's have a chat. Let's try and see if we can help.
Yeah, brilliant. Brett, it's been great having you on the show this morning, learning a little bit more what Backhouse does. Thank you yesterday for jumping on our live stream and
It's a pleasure.
tell us a little bit more about what you do as well. Have a great day. Enjoy the sunshine because it is sunny and out there today. And we'll catch you soon, Brett. All the best.
Thanks, guys. All the best. Have a great day.
Well, you had no choice yesterday. You were just in there, mate. You were live streaming. Boom. Let's have a word with this fella.
Well, I wasn't going to. Yesterday, I said, look, we're not going to go and pounce on people because that's a bit unfair, isn't it? And you went, no, just do it. So I did. And that's how it ended up happening. We just jumped on people. It happened.
Brett's fairly new, right, to the firm. And you were asking all loads of questions about, okay, tell us about the business. And I was sitting back with the ladies on the stand. Go, oh, isn't he good? Don't he know his stuff? and he's new.
brilliant. At the time, I never knew he'd only been there for a short period of time, and I flung the question on him, and he pounced into action. But that's what business needs. It needs people that are spontaneous and can react to whatever is happening in the situation around them. So well done, Brett, and great to have you on the show this morning. We come to our final guest this morning. In fact, Jeremy was mentioning this person earlier when Jeremy was talking. I haven't seen this guy for a long time. Mike Russell, good morning and welcome. It was interesting yesterday, Mike. People coming together for the first time, and I stopped by. I've met you virtually again many times, kind of digital, but not face to face. And it was like, Mike, you're here. But I will be honest, there was one thing that stopped me in my tracks as I was walking around. Share with the audience what it was. What a great initiative this was.
Well, I just wanted to make the event more about sitting down and having a chat and a nice cup of coffee. So, yeah, for fairly low investment, bought myself a coffee machine and a couple of comfy chairs out of the kitchen, and we sat and had a lovely cup of coffee with quite a few different people yesterday, actually. So, much more enjoyable than the usual standing behind the table and being all defensive and not being able to talk to people comfortably. So, yeah, it was good. It was.
Here it is. Here is your stand with your coffee machine. And I was walking by, and look at this. Obviously these stands were all quite small, so it's not like we could spread ourselves out. But what a great use of the space. A coffee machine. You had a little mini fridge there. You had the chocolate biscuits. I mean, who's not going to stop for a conversation and sit down and find out a little bit more about what you do?
Hold on a second. You bought me a cup of coffee. Thanks very much, Mike. A lovely cup of coffee. I didn't see any biscuits. The biscuits never made their way up to where we were.
No, they didn't. And I must admit, I didn't have one either. I did think about it, but they look so well presented. I thought if I took one, it's going to do the feng shui no good. It's going to unbalance it. So I left them alone.
Absolutely.
Fair enough.
Yeah, no, it was a good day, and interesting what Jeremy was mentioning about shoes. Actually, my dad always said you could judge a person from their shoes, so it's clearly a something that comes from the dim and distant past, I guess, but probably their army days, I would imagine. So quality of how your shoes are cleaned, but no, it was a really good day, and I think too many people get hung up with expos. About someone asked me, how many clients are you expecting to sign up today? What's your target? And I said, absolutely no target for signing up clients, because that's not what today's all about. It's about meeting people, reconnecting with people you haven't seen for a long while. And as you said, David and Nick, you said earlier about meeting people who you'd only met virtually. And that's really what it's about. And supporting your local colleagues. Aaron runs a fantastic network, and I always feel that as members, we should support him. And he always tries to support us. He's a serial networker himself, and he loves putting people together. So by supporting that event, that's the way of, helping him. So, so it was great and really good listening as well. Jeremy's made, talking about the sponsorship scheme for the FSB as well. I work with as you guys know, I work with the Growth Hub in Southend, supporting, the micro businesses, exactly the sort of big businesses that should be joining the FSB. So I wasn't aware of that scheme until today. So I will be promoting it for you as well. So all good.
And what does it MKR Solutions do, Mike?
Yeah, okay.
Other than a cup of coffee.
And a very good one. Yeah,
we make a good cup of coffee. Yeah, courtesy of Tesco's finest. But so I'm a business consultant, and the trouble is, you say that and everyone starts glazing over. Oh my God, what's a business consultant? But basically, what I do is I've spent 38 years in the corporate world, in finance, in the finance sector and the automotive sector, and I felt now's the time. You look back and you look at what you've learned over those years. And I recently, in the last couple of years working in the finance world, I had the opportunity to study an MA, and it really changed the way I thought about what I did, and it made me really look back and understand what I'd learned. And I thought, well, actually, I do know a lot of stuff. I've had a lot of experiences. I've run large businesses, and I've been involved at a fairly high level, at board level, in some of those large businesses as well. And I thought there's a time that I can come back and give that back to the smaller business community. And so I set up MKR Solutions in 2018 as a consultancy business, joined a network called IBD, which stands for Initiatives in Business Development, which is about 200 other business consultants across the UK. We're all independent, with the idea of bringing consultancy at a reasonable price to the SME market. Got involved in 2019 and 2020 with supporting businesses in Cambridgeshire through Brexit. Started to become a bit of a Brexpert, I got called at one point. So I'm trying to shake that label off if I can. But yeah, so we were supporting businesses through Brexit, and then of course COVID hit. So we were then supporting businesses through COVID as well in 2020, and became, well, really sort of counsellors really for a lot of businesses. It was a tough time and really quite interesting. But it opened my eyes to all the weird and wonderful things that people do. Some people may not realise that the weird and wonderful fruits that they use on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here are supplied by a company in Essex. Fascinating, actually. One of some of the fruits that they have tucked away down the back of stock in their little warehouse there. So quite amazing, really. So opened my eyes to some incredibly interesting entrepreneurs, people with some fantastic ideas. So I just sit down, I mentor people, I coach people, and I support them through their journey, setting up and getting through the sort of changes in their business. I'm also a Lean Six Sigma specialist as well. So that comes into play a little bit later in the sort of larger SMEs. But working closely with the growth hubs as well, as I said, I've set up a scheme for the Essex Growth Hub called React, which is for those micro businesses up to 250,000 turnover. And businesses can get up to 4 hours of free support, for anything they're doing, any change they're going through at the moment. And one final little plug, sorry guys, I'm gonna throw this in, but we're just starting the peer network cohorts for Suffolk Growth Hub as well. Our first cohort starts tomorrow. But please, even if you're in Essex Growth Hub are running peer networks as well. They're a great way of getting businesses together and almost like a self-help organization. You get there with other business owners together. It's all funded by the government through the BAYS funding scheme. So get together, help support each other, and that's really what the peer networks is about. So
Absolutely.
I do all sorts, bit of everything.
What a great collection of guests, David. What's going on today, right? So Ingrid said one of the most important things is who you surround you with. And then from the show yesterday, we pull in, FSB support. We've got legal support. We've got Mike offering all sorts of business support. What's not to like?
Yeah, absolutely. What is not to like? Mike, if people want to get in touch with you via your website is one route, which I've put the...
perfect. That's the best way, really. Yeah.
That the best way? Look, if you want to find out a little bit more about what Mike does, if you want to have a chat with him about how he can support your business, then why not make a phone call? Drop in an email, go to the website, find out more about Mike and MKR Solutions. Mike, great to see you yesterday in the flesh. Thank you once again for the coffee and the great initiative. And look forward to seeing you at the next Business Expo, wherever that may be soon.
Yeah, definitely will do. And thank you guys for inviting me on. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. All the best. Have a great day.
Bye.
Well, there we go, Nick. We are coming to the top of the show. It's nearly the hour, and maybe this week we will finish on time. We won't overrun, but as you've always said, it's our show. We do what we want to do and how we want to do it. But I think, really, summary, what I take away from today, getting back out there, meeting, having conversations with people, having coffees off people which are generous to share the love. It's so important to developing our relationships and building those relationships with businesses and friends.
Yeah, a cup of coffee and a conversation, right? It's the start to a great series of solutions, business, personal, whatever it might be. Today, ladies and gents, lovely audience, promise yourself a cup of coffee or something else and a conversation, and just see how it leaves you afterwards. Does it solve a few of your issues along the way?
Yeah, absolutely. Nick, I think he says, once again, we have to thank Ingrid Osborne for coming on the show and sharing her story earlier on. All her contact details are in the chat as well. If you missed those, do have a look at the website. Maybe join with her on one of the social media platforms or drop her an email. I'm sure she'd love to hear from you. Ask her about Necker Island and how to get there and eating from a surfboard. And we look forward to seeing that in the chat, Ingrid, you eating sushi off a surfboard from the swimming pool. I've got an image there now already. I think it's going to be fabulous. Nick, let's wrap the show up on a high this week. Business is back. It's starting to boom. Yeah, there's always going to be a little bit of, downside to it, but that's life. But on a whole, yesterday for me was a great event. I walked away feeling, happy, smiley, rekindle those relationships. And it really motivated me actually for this morning's show that, we're getting back out there.
Yeah, the feeling is coming back, right? We've still got the challenges, of course, but best foot forward. Ironically, today is International Week of Happiness at Work. So bring a bit of that happiness back. We certainly are. And ladies and gentlemen, let's hope you are too.
Yeah. On that note, don't forget to joining next Thursday for the breakfast show from 8 a.m. But we are back next week for the late night show, 8 p.m. on Wednesday night. We have a gentleman joining us called Christopher Walkie from A Glass of Bubbly. And we're going to be doing some virtual wine tasting and bubbly tasting and talking to Chris about his journey, how he started out in kind of social media and property and how that's gone through to actually testing some of the best wines and champagnes in the world. So that's not to be missed. That's next Wednesday, 8 through to 9 p.m. Anyway, from me in the virtual studio, David Bell, as I'm now called, Digital Deck.
Digital Deck. Don't forget, it says analog, and don't forget, like, subscribe, do all that kind of digital stuff, but also come by and say hello.
Yeah. Until next week, goodbye, stay safe.